Over the course of her career, Tiffany has been a vocal critic of the injustices that are prevalent in the music industry. The fact that composers, who are the creative forces behind the melodies and lyrics that resonate with millions of people, frequently have their due earnings lowered when artists claim a percentage of the publication rights is something that she finds particularly depressing. Hello everyone and welcome back to Ramar Spill. Even in situations where the artist has not contributed a single word to the song, this behavior is nothing out of the ordinary. Beyonce is a perfect example of this phenomenon. She is renowned for taking credit for songs that she did not originate, and she also keeps a big portion of the profits from such songs. Not only does this damage the integrity of songwriting, but it also diminishes the reasonable recompense that the actual authors deserve to get. This pattern has been maintained in the industry as a result of Beyoncé's demands from songwriters, which has turned it into a standard rather than an exception. When one considers the notoriety and power that Beyonce possesses on the internet, one could wonder if it is appropriate to contact her about modifying the way that she does her company. Since she made her debut, the music industry has experienced tremendous changes, and it now generates a significantly lower amount of revenue than it did in the past. Despite this trend, the significance of publishing rights continues to be an important concern for songwriters, as it is frequently their primary source of income in a market that is becoming increasingly difficult to navigate successfully. Tiffany is speaking out because she is becoming increasingly dissatisfied with the current condition of the industry, despite the fact that she has not collaborated directly with Beyonce. She is especially dissatisfied with the fact that the transition to streaming has resulted in a decrease in revenue from song sales, which has forced musicians to rely more on touring for money. Although the modest rewards from streaming platforms do nothing to fill the pockets of artists, they do not even come close to providing adequate remuneration to composers, who are the backbone of the industry. When Tiffany publicly blasted Beyonce in response to Jay-Z's statement at the Grammy Awards, her fury reached a boiling point. She brought attention to the irony in Beyonce's criticism of the Grammy Awards for ignoring her for the Album of the Year award. She argued that Beyonce's own methods of withholding fair remuneration and a major share of publication rights from composers are unethical and should be questioned. Beyonce, in contrast to other artists who have won Album of the Year in the past, such as Adele, Taylor Swift, and Billie Eilish, is not primarily recognized as a songwriter. This distinction lends credence to the position that she is taking. This mismatch indicates that business politics and personal relationships, potentially even with Jay-Z, may play a part in Grammy judgments. It also raises issues about the justice of her plaudits, which raises questions about the legitimacy of her accolades. The courageous encounter that Tiffany had with Beyonce during a live broadcast exemplifies her resolve to advocate for change throughout the world. Despite the fact that she has won a record number of Grammys, she is of the opinion that Beyonce's unwillingness to address these concerns could be a contributing factor in her elimination from consideration for the Album of the Year award. The predicament is not limited to Beyonce alone, as many people in the industry are ready to ignore these tactics in order to have the privilege of working with her company. A trend that is concerning is the willingness of individuals to compromise their beliefs in order to gain a position of prominence. This is especially problematic when it results in excessive work and inadequate compensation without proper acknowledgement. Tiffany's refusal to participate in these power dynamics and her demand for fair terms for publishing rights bring to light the more widespread problem of the industry's lack of respect and value for songwriters. It is possible that her outspoken stance, which she is taking in preparation for her new album, could shed light on the reasons behind Beyonce's snubs and encourage a reevaluation of business practices associated with the music industry. The landscape of the music industry is a complicated web of relationships and power dynamics, and in order to convey their creativity to the world, musicians and songwriters must traverse a maze of hurdles. The criticism that Tiffany has leveled against the unethical methods of the industry brings to light a basic problem, which is the undervaluing of the contributions that songwriters make. Not only does this systemic problem have an impact on the financial well-being of these creators, but it also has an impact on the variety and quality of music that is made available to audiences.
Beyonce's attitude towards songwriting credits and royalties is illustrative of a bigger trend in the business, which is that the value of creative contributions is frequently overshadowed by the power of commercial interests and the influence of brands. It is necessary to analyze whether this comes at the expense of the creative community that supports artists like Beyonce, even though it is natural that artists like Beyonce want to keep control and influence over their brand.
For many songwriters who have aspirations of making a name for themselves in the industry, the reality is that they are under pressure to either keep quiet or accept terms that are unfavorable. It is difficult for voices such as Tiffany's to be heard, since this silence is frequently imposed by non-disclosure agreements and the risk of being shunned by the community. In this cycle, those in power continue to benefit at the expense of those who are responsible for creating anything, which is a cycle that sustains the status quo. The demand for change that Tiffany is making is not only about Beyonce, rather, it is a plea for a more egalitarian music industry in which composers are compensated adequately and recognized for their work. It is about altering the balance of power so that the people who create the music that has an impact on our lives are not left in the shadows, striving to make ends meet. In the midst of Tiffany's preparations for her upcoming album, her outspokenness has sparked a discussion among those working in the industry. A discourse that has been long overdue and one that has the potential to lead to substantial change if a sufficient number of voices participate in it. Instead of being a place where creativity is abused, the music industry has the potential to become a place where it gets appreciated and rewarded. The tale of Tiffany and her stand against unjust tactics in the music industry serves as a reminder that change is possible when individuals are courageous enough to speak out against those practices. To ensure that the songwriters and creators, who are the industry's heart and soul, are treated with the respect and fairness they deserve, it is a call to action for all those who are engaged in the process of generating music to examine their methods and ensure that they are treated with respect because they deserve it. In conclusion, the problems that Tiffany Red brought out are a reflection of the more general difficulties that songwriters in the music industry are confronted with. The fact that she had the guts to speak up against a force like Beyonce highlights the need for respect, fairness, and transparency in the business world. It is of the utmost importance that the rights and accomplishments of songwriters are not ignored even as the business continues to undergo transformations. Rather, they should be celebrated and compensated in an appropriate manner. These creative brains are responsible for a significant portion of the success that the music industry has had, and it is about time that they receive the attention and benefits that they justly deserve. Subscribe Rumor Spill for more videos.